Hey, what's up, guys? We are back for another Tuesday Q&A, and we're going to go ahead and kick things off right away. Let's see what we have here, guys. Again, thanks so much for joining me here. Really appreciate it. Love jumping in here and answering questions. First, from Marvin. Yes, you are. If you ain't first, you're last. Thanks, Marvin. Should I drop Herb Jones for Jalen Williams of OKC? No. Herb Jones has gotten off to a slow start. I know it's very tempting to drop Herb Jones, especially probably based on where you drafted him, right around pick 100, maybe a little bit earlier. He was really good last year, top 80 player, but a big part of his value was the steals. 1.7 steals last year, down to 1.1 this year. But if you turn those around and look at his last 6 games, he's averaged in that span 1.7 steals again. So the points aren't going to be there all the time. The peripheral numbers aren't going to be there all the time, but you can count on a good bit of steals from him. And as long as that starts trending back up, which it looks like it is, then that's the guy I would stay with. Williams could be just a flavor of the week for the Thunder based on the way they run their rotation. Should I trade away Zion for Jimmy Butler? Not even close. Butler has put up first-round value. Zion is struggling to stay in the top 100. Butler gives you so many positive contributions in a number of different categories. Zion's biggest plus right now is the field goal percentage, which Butler is not too awful far behind. He's neutral in that category. And Zion's points are, I think, 1.5 or 2 more than Butler, not too much. Zion's averaging like 23 points a game this year. So, no, absolutely, it's Butler by a country mile. What happened to Rocco? Still a hold? No. There's nobody on the Clippers that it needs to be rostered other than Paul George, Zubac, who's broken out this year, and Marcus Morris. Other than that, the rest of those guys don't care. Is Denny Avdia somebody that needs to be rostered in fantasy right now in a 12-team league? He's actually – that's interesting that you asked that. I was actually at the Wizards game with my kids the other day, and I watched him, and Porzingis just rained down threes. He looked great. So he's been really good recently. He's stuck in the starting lineup for the last 5 games, but no, his production is too sporadic. And he had that 21-point game, which was his season high the other day against Memphis. Bradley Beal wasn't playing. So, no, I'm not going to count on Avdia at all. I mean, he averages a little over 20 minutes a game. He doesn't give you a whole lot of production. His field goal percentage isn't great. So, no, he's not a guy that you need to roster in a 12-team league. Which 2 or 3 would you trade for Edwards, Jalen Smith, Jabari Smith, Ben Mathurin, Herb Jones, Isaiah Hartenstein? I mean, shoot, I'm looking to keep Jalen Smith. I'm looking to keep Jabari Smith. I'll keep the Smiths. We'll get the band back together. I would be looking to trade. I would probably be looking to trade Herb and Hartenstein. Those are the 2 guys. But Mathurin could also be on the table as well. So those 3 guys to me are dispensable. Jabari Smith is still has a very high ceiling. Still a guy that hopefully you might be able to get low, but buy low, but just because of his rough start to the season. But he's a guy that I'm definitely keeping. Drop Clay from Marvin Bagley. Don't get cute. No, that's a gut reaction right now based on the way Clay's been playing. It's been really bad. There's a league that I'm in that I let my kids help me draft my team, and we got Poole and Clay because they love the Warriors, and that hasn't been working out too well for me this year. But no, better days are ahead for Clay. I'm not worried about him. And Bagley, it's just a matter of time, before he has to sit again. Can we count on him to stay on the court? No, don't get cute here. Rocco is definitely not a hold. I agree, Mark. Would you drop Killian Purple Hayes love that, Purple Hayes, or Trey Murphy III for John Conchar, given Desmond Bane's diagnosis? P.S. We love you, Zach. Daniel, I don't know you and I don't know who we are, but I love you too. Would you drop Killian Hayes or Trey Murphy for John Conchar? No. I love Conchar with Bain out, but you also have to count on Triple J is making his season debut tonight. So while Conchar might start, and he's a guy that I would pick up, I'm not going to drop somebody that's established this year, such as a Trey Murphy III with his accurate shooting and 3-pointers, or Killian Hayes, who we've seen play really well without Cade Cunningham in the lineup. So no, I'm keeping both of those guys. Trey Murphy, 3 ROS. Yeah, I don't know if that's a question or if it's just, do you want my opinion on him? I think he's going to remain a top 100 player the rest of the year. We've already seen that the Pelicans rotation, he's involved in it. He's going to continue to see good minutes. And when they play back-to-backs or just for maintenance purposes, we're already looking at Zion potentially being out tonight against the Grizzlies. I haven't looked at the injury report recently, so he may have already been ruled out. But they're playing a back-to-back, so there's a chance he sits out tonight. And when he sits or when BI sits or McCollum, there's always going to be some extra minutes available for Trey Murphy. And for a guy that's such an accurate shooter and that can stroke threes at the rate that he does it, that's a guy that you need to keep on your fantasy team for sure. Cade and Bain on my IR. Who should I sell high out of these two people, Lowry or Wagner? Also, is Suggs a drop because he's not producing while Paolo is out? Yeah, Suggs is dispensable. Absolutely. You can feel free to get rid of him. Who should I sell high out of the two people, Lowry or Wagner? I would be selling high on Wagner. I'm not selling high on Lowry. I can't see any path to him not just absolutely dominating for the rest of the season in Utah. Hang on to him and make fun of your league mates because you drafted him at pick 80 or 90 and he's giving you second and third round value all season. Point your finger, laugh at him, give him a good dose of smack talk and say, hey, I got Lowry and you didn't, and rub that in their faces all season. Hang on to him. 14 deep, 8-cat head-to-head. Would you trade my MPJ, Anthony Simons, and D'Lo for PG and Bones? Currently in second with a super deep roster. Wow. That is an interesting one. I think I would do it. If you have a super deep roster, then the winner of any trade is going to be the guy that gets the best player. And right now that's PG because obviously with Kawhi out, we have no idea when he's coming back. The Clippers need some superhuman performances from him, even just to beat the lowly the lowly Rockets, I should say. So give me PG all day. I'm fine trading those. D'Lo has really fallen off. Simons has really been good for points and threes. Obviously, he's still going to be a great player, and so is MPJ. But if you have a deep roster comparable to the guys that you're giving away, get the better player. And obviously, I love Bones. No bones about it. Hey, Zach needs some fringe player advice with Triple J coming back earlier than expected. I need to drop either Ijax or Charles Bassey. What are your thoughts? This was something that was discussed. I think this was something that was discussed when I was on with Josh Lloyd last week for his mailbag. And the question was, which one of these guys is going to be the better hold for the rest of the season? This is a tough one, but I think for right now, you go with the guy that's giving you the production and the guy that's getting the minutes, and that to me is going to be Charles Bassey. He played over 20 minutes yesterday. The Spurs play 5 games this week. Obviously, even in limited playing time, he's getting you rebounds and blocks. Isaiah Jackson will get you that too, but the path to production is not quite as difficult for a Charles Bassey who just has Jakob Poeltl to contend with because we can't count on Zach Collins to be healthy. Whereas Indiana's front court has Jalen Smith, Miles Turner, Taylor Terry, or Terry Taylor. So no, for me, it's going to be Bassey. 8-cat, trade Hallie for Sabonis and Bowl. Ooh, that's an interesting one. So I think what that comes down to is, do you need the big man stats, right? So if you're a team that's really hurting for big man stats, I think that's fine because obviously when you make that trade, you're going to get so much better in rebounds and blocks. Your field goal percentage will go up, but you're going to be losing out on the things that Halliburton does so well, which is assists. So you're going to fall way behind in assists. Halliburton's field goal percentage is still really good. You're also going to be missing out on some of the scoring that Halliburton provides for you. Obviously, Sabonis is averaging 17-ish a game. Halliburton's over 20, so not a big discrepancy there. So it just depends on team makeup. If you're set, if you have a team loaded with guards that get you assists, then I'd be totally fine to make that deal. If you are a team that might need those assists and you're already fairly set with the big man categories, then I would say stand pat because Halliburton is the best player in that deal. But the Clippers and Pacers are talking about trading Miles. Will Rocco resurface? Maybe. He might. He does this every year where we think he's done for and throw him to the waiver wire, and then mid-season he starts giving you 2 steals and 2 blocks a game, and you pick him back up. But he's not a guy that is going to give you, this isn't like somebody dropped Paul George to the waiver wire. This is Robert Covington, right? So this is a guy that can give you top 100 production, but it's going to be mostly because of the 3 and D stats, which are fine. But he's not a guy that people are going to be clamoring to the waiver wire to acquire, right? So you can throw him to the waiver wire, and then if he starts getting good, pick him back up. It's not probably going to cost you a waiver priority or too much fab. So drop him, pick him back up, rinse, repeat, take some ibuprofen. Got offered LeBron for Sabonis and Brook Lopez. Thoughts, should I take it? A little bit scared of LeBron's injury history and load management. Yeah. I think for me at this point, I would hold put with Sabonis and Brook Lopez. I would be worried about that for LeBron too. This team is going nowhere fast. They're garbage. He's going to be hanging around until right around the trade deadline when he breaks Kareem's all-time record, and then he'll probably go on vacation with his family and call it a wrap for this year. So, yeah, I hold on to Sabonis. I don't want any part of LeBron right now. Who should be picked up for the 3 games? Wall, Reggie Jackson, or Norman? Well, man. Can I say nobody? Can I say just pick up somebody else from your waiver wire? I mean, I don't know that I really want any of these guys on my team. None of them is giving me, any sort of reliable production. The Clippers have just really been a fantasy wasteland. They're the worst offense in basketball right now. They have Paul George, Morris, and Zubac. Obviously, Kawhi's in there too, but those 3 guys are the only 3 on the team that are even ranked inside the top 200 in per game fantasy value this season. I don't want any of those other guys at this point. With injuries piling up for the Spurs, you got 4 more games this week. I'll even tell you to pick up somebody like a Keita Bates-Diop over these guys, right? He started last night. He had 31 minutes, almost double-double, 2 steals, 12 points, 9 rebounds, a couple of triples. Somebody like that I'll even throw to you rather than anybody from the Clippers. Pick up Dylan Brooks over Nance or Payne with Bane's injury. No. I would rather have Payne at this point. Absolutely. Payne is a fantasy beast when Chris Paul sits, and Dylan Brooks he's going to give you bricks. He had 19 points on 22 shots the other day, and that is exactly what he does. I do have some money on him tonight for first basket prop, though, so I can certainly count on him for that. But for my season-long teams, no thanks. I don't need a chucker that's just putting up points with terrible field goal percentage. I can find that anywhere. Who should be picked up out of this 3 players for this 3 games? We already had that one. Keita Bates-Diop. 10 team, 15 spot points, drop Ben Simmons to pick up Gary Trent or Looney. Let's see here. In a points league, yeah, I'll take Gary Trent. Ben Simmons, yeah, boo. Gideon Healed for Beal. That is an interesting one. Uh, hmm. That is very tempting. I would say, no, I think I'm holding on to Gideon Healed. You're not going to find that sort of 3-point production from Healed anywhere else. And the numbers that he's putting up so far this season have been really, really good, like third round value. I don't think it's going to last, but I'm also still a little skeptical about Bradley Beal's health. So, no. I have Kawhi on my team. What would you say his value is right now in a trade? I don't know. Half a ham sandwich and a bag of Cool Ranch Doritos. I don't know. For me personally, I would not trade for Kawhi. So I don't know what other fantasy managers in your league would do. You might find somebody that's really into him, and you might find that guy that really thinks he's the smartest guy in the room in your league, and he says, "Man, I can buy low on Kawhi, and so I'll offer a mid-round player or somebody in the top 100." If you can get somebody in the top 100 for Kawhi, do it. Seriously, I want no part of Kawhi, no matter what the upside is. They were bringing him off the bench, and he still has missed significant time. So absolutely trade him. Trade him for pennies on the dollar. Count your losses and move on with it. Wipe your hands of him. I'm done with him. I've been done with him since he got injured. Rest of season, rank them, please. Morris, Boucher, Poku, Jabari, Bassie. For me, this one is going to be Jabari, blocks and threes, and it's sustainable. His role is pretty sustainable. It'll be Jabari, Marcus Morris. I think his role is pretty secure on that team. Poku, Bassie, and Boucher. I will still never count on Boucher in a Nick Nurse rotation. He can have 20 and 10 with 3 blocks and then follow that up with 2 points, 2 rebounds, and no defensive stats. So no thanks. Trade my Fox for Garland. Yeah, I think Darius Garland is getting a lot of love after that 50 burger the other night, but no. I would hang on to Fox. I'm not sure how much he falls off as the season goes on. I don't think he'll be a top 20 player all season, but I think obviously he's the unquestioned lead dog in Sacramento. So, it's going to be him for me. Garland still has Donovan Mitchell, and Mitchell's been playing with his hair on fire this season. Don't just tell me to do it because PG is the best player in the deal. That methodology is no good. I'm sorry I've disappointed you, sir. I apologize. I will try to do better in the future. My methodology is flawed, according to Aim Lillard. Cool screen name, though. Poole clearly does not like coming off the bench. Is he going to be able to reconcile this and start putting up top 75 value? I don't know if he's going to be able to reconcile that. That's a great question. I wish I could get inside his head and figure that out, but I don't know. I don't think he'll be able to put up top 75 value, but I think he can get into the top 100. Is Chris Boucher here to stay? I hope so. I have him on a couple of fantasy teams, but I doubt it. Very scary. Triple J or Claxton, who would you rather have? Oh, man. I think I lean Triple J on this one, but we haven't seen how he's going to play this year or how long that ramp up's going to be. So right now, I wouldn't be trading for Triple J. I think he's one of those guys that you drafted late, stuck on your IR and are very happy that he's back now and might be a season winner for you. But he's not anybody that I'm going to go give up significant, trade pieces for. Thoughts on Dennis Schroeder and Seth Curry? Schroeder should not have bet on himself. He should have taken that long-term extension that was offered to him. Seth Curry is a great waiver wire pickup. Dennis Schroeder should not be picked up this season. People love Seth Curry here. Got Seth off waivers right before he came back, and everybody was laughing at me. Assuming he doesn't get injured, will I have the last laugh? I hope you have the last laugh. I think you will. I think he will be fine for you this season, as he always is. D'Lo or Lowry rest of season? Lowry. Ben Simmons getting better this season, my opinion. I don't think there's anywhere for him to go but up at this point. But he's not a guy that I'm thrilled to have on my fantasy team. Is this how bad Christian Wood is going to be? Really thought he'd have more blocks in the least. Yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot of optimism with Christian Wood right now. He's good for points and rebounds. He really doesn't give you a whole lot else at this point. I mean, field goal percentage is good as well, but the defensive stats are not there. He's not a good passer. The free throw percentage is pretty dreadful. So yeah, I'm not too thrilled if he's on my team. I'm sorry to break it to you. I don't think there's too much optimism for him. Should I trade Kevin Porter Jr. for Hero? I need to cut down turnovers and field goal percentage. Yeah, if you need to cut turnovers down and boost your field goal percentage, then yeah, I think that move is fine. Drop Bones or Jalen Smith for P. Will in 9-cat? I don't think so. Obviously, Williams has been playing better recently, but no, I think I would rather have either of those guys. John Isaac worth holding on to on your IL spot? No. He's a luxury stash. If you have the space, great. If not, he can be cut. With Triple J set to play, will Aldama completely fall off, or can he hang on to 12-team, 14-team value? Sure. Definitely more so in deeper leagues, but yeah, especially with Bain being out for a couple of weeks, you hang on to Aldama, you see how he looks. Triple J is going to need a ramp-up period after being off for so long. Absolutely hang on to him. Don't just drop him as a knee-jerk reaction with Triple J coming back. Let's see here. Would you trade Ant, D'Angelo, I'm assuming D'Angelo Russell, and Jalen Green for Trey and Middleton? That is a good question. I would say for me right now, yes, I would make that deal. Again, I'm going to throw out my flawed methodology here of getting the better player. Obviously, this is dependent on your league. This is dependent on your team needs. But Middleton is consistently a top 50 guy when he's available. So once he comes back, you'll have a top 50 player. Trae Young has started off slow, but his biggest drag right now is the field goal percentage. And we all know he's not going to be shooting sub 40% for the rest of the season. Otherwise, the numbers are still elite, 27-9, as he usually does. So yeah, I think that deal is totally fine for you. I think you're going to end up making out well. Should we get worried about Scotty Barnes? Yeah, you should. He hasn't been doing a whole lot, even with these other guys being injured. Obviously, we were expecting maybe some point Scotty with Trent Van Fleet out of the lineup, and I think he finished with 4 or 5 assists. Nothing to write home about. And obviously, his production has really not taken a huge leap in year 2. And the minutes, there's still room to grow. There's still, minutes to be had for him. His minutes are down from last season, but yeah, it's time to be worried. But At this point, drafts are already over. He was overdrafted. Obviously, we've seen that. Relative to where he's performing, I think he can get better, but I don't think he's going to live up to maybe where he was drafted. Can Goodwin maintain 25 minutes a game when Beal is back? That's a good question, but this is talking about Goodwin from the Wizards, and yeah, he has been really good. And I think at some point he will just totally eclipse Monty Morris. I can't see what the staying power of Monte Morris is in the starting lineup. He really is just he doesn't give you near as much as what Goodwin is giving you right now. And this is just from a an NBA perspective. I think Goodwin has played better and deserves to be in the starting lineup, and eventually he will overtake him for that starting job, and he will be the better, fantasy player. Let's see here. Will Bowl maintain his role rest of season? I have him in my 14-team points league, and it's giving me 8-round value. Yeah, I think he'll maintain this role rest of season. It's not like it's a crazy role to maintain. Obviously, Orlando has dealt with injuries, but even prior to that, he was still getting useful minutes, and he's a guy that doesn't need a ton of minutes to be fantasy viable for you. So do I think he can get in that 18 to 22 minute range rest of season and still give you a pair of blocks a game? Maybe like a 10-7 with good field goal percentage and a triple marked in there. Absolutely. Sure. Trade John Collins for Mikal Bridges. You guys are sending over some great trade questions today. That is a really tough one. I think for right now, I lean. Man, that's so tough. I think for right now, I lean Mikal Bridges. Both are guys that really don't, even when they give you a negative impact in a certain category, it's not tremendous. They're not guys that are going to decimate you in any certain category. But I just really, I think the durability for one of Bridges, never missed a game in college or the NBA. The minutes for him compared to John Collins, Bridges is getting 36, 37 minutes a game, something like that, compared to Collins, who's in the low 30-ish range. So give me Mikal Bridges right now. Worth stashing Fultz or Isaac in a 14-team points league. Again, luxury stashes if you have the room. Since it's a 14-team league, yeah, options are going to be slimmer than in a 10 or a 12. So if you have the room, fine. If not, I wouldn't, I wouldn't stress over it. Green or Anthony Edwards rest of season in 9-cat. Man, both of these guys have been really disappointing this season. Man, that is really a tough one for me. Man, I think I will give the slight edge to Jalen Green, just because his role is very, very secure on a very, very poor team, compared to Edwards, who does still have to compete with quite a few other really talented players on his own roster. So give me Green, but that's a really close one, and it's really disappointing for Edwards. What about Thanasis Antetokounmpo? I don't know. What about him? I hear he's a very nice guy, very good to his mother. So, yeah. Bassey outlook for the rest of the season. If he can get minutes in the low 20s, he's going to be he's going to be a great fantasy player for you. He'll be relevant in 12-team leagues if he can maintain that type of usage and minutes. And again, we can't really count on Zach Collins to be healthy. So yeah, absolutely. I think Bassey is somebody that you need to pick up, somebody that belongs on your roster. But I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh man, should I drop established player X, Y, and Z for him?" No. He's a speculative ad. He's somebody that I think can be really good, but you don't drop a guy that's giving you, great production right now. Off the wire, Oubre or Curry. I think for me right now, and that's a tough one. I think for me right now, it's going to be. I think it'll be Curry. I think Oubre started out really good to start the season, but again, his ceiling is not tremendous. Again, Curry, I don't think his ceiling is tremendous either, but we know how valuable a guy that can hit, a lot of threes can be. We saw back-to-back 20-point performances from Curry here recently. For me, it's going to be Curry as he ramps up and his season gets going, especially with LaMelo Ball coming back, and eventually Charlotte will get healthy. I offered my Aldama for Eason. Fair offer. Who do you prefer? Right now, I prefer Eason. With Triple J coming back, as I mentioned earlier, I still think Aldama is a guy to hold on to and a guy that is, is still going to be a viable option for you, even in 12-team leagues. But Eason, I think eventually his role is going to continue to grow. I really don't see him not being the starter here within the next month or two over guys like Eric Gordon. Eason is he plays hard. He plays well on both ends. He's not getting the minutes right now, but we've seen really how well he can do in a limited sample size. Would I drop Poole for Would I drop Poole for Triple J? Ouch. I would prefer not to drop Poole. That is a really tough one. I would really prefer not to drop Poole. I would prefer to drop somebody else on your roster. But if I had to make that decision right now, do I drop Poole for Triple J? No, I'm going to hold tight on Jordan Poole right now. I will still keep the faith on him. All right, have time for a couple more questions here, and then I have to hop off. Thoughts on Keegan Murray? I love Keegan Murray. I simped for him hard in the preseason. I loved his first few games. I rode through with him through the the limited minutes and the kind of limited showings. He's been better recently. He's still a top 100 player. He's a great 3-point shooter. He's good on defense. He gives you a lot of positive contributions. Again, it's been tough for him so far to kind of find that groove next to Sabonis and Fox, who have been much better than I anticipated. Absolutely. Before the season started. So Keegan Murray, top 100 guy. He'll finish the season that way as well. Still love him. Still holding on to him. Drop Payne for Sohan? No. I listened to one of the experts on here last week, and I dropped Poku. What do you have to say for yourselves? That wasn't me. I didn't tell you that. I'm not sure who did tell you that. But at the end of the day, what I have to say for myself and for fantasy analysts at large is we can provide context. We can provide data. We can provide our interpretation and our spin on data and analytics and recent player performances. But we're human, right? And we make mistakes. And if we told you to drop Poku, and I'm sure I said some dumb things today that will turn out in a week to not be true, or by season's end, you come back and say, wow, Zach, you're a complete moron. Why did you tell me that? Nobody should ever listen to you. You're such a jerk. That's fine. What I have to say for you at the end of the day, Carlos, is you're a grown man. You can make decisions for yourself, manage your fantasy team yourself. If you make a poor decision, that the fantasy analyst you listen to did not come to your house and log into your app or your computer and make that add or drop for you. So manage your team yourself. Listen, don't listen, but take responsibility for making those moves yourself. Appreciate you tuning in, my man. How are your squads looking this season, Zach? Is it monster time? It's always monster time, brother. My squads are looking okay. I'm winning in more than I'm losing. I'm doing pretty good in the Locked On Fantasy Bowl, the one that Josh Lloyd runs. Doing pretty good in the NBC, the league with a bunch of NBC guys. I mentioned earlier that there's a couple of leagues that that I'm in with some friends, like from Twitter, some friends from high school. I'm doing okay in both of those as well. The one where I let my kids help me draft, and we got LeBron and Clay and Jordan Poole. Not so hot, but we're still having fun with it. But it's always monster time. All right, I got time for two more questions here. What's the trade value for Brooke Lopez? I don't know. Brooke Lopez is putting up, top 25-ish numbers this year. The blocks are tremendous. The rebounds are good. The points are good. He's just doing a bit of everything this year that you really love to see from him. The 3 and D, except he's doing it much better than what he usually does, right? So I think when Middleton comes back, that will take a little bit of a hit. I'm not sure he can be this efficient all season. But it just depends on what guys in your league are looking for. Blocks are such a scarce category that if you are looking for a manager that is really doing poorly in blocks, I think you can do a bit of a sell high. But I think people are also leery of, hey, Brooke Lopez is giving me top 25 numbers. I don't think that's sustainable, so I'm not gonna give up a ton for him. So I'm not sure what his value is right now, which to me makes him an obvious. For me, he's a hold. All right, let's go for one more here. Let me scroll down here. And again, guys, if I did not get to your question today, you can find me on Twitter at Zak the Monster. I will get to all of these today. I'll be on writing up games for NBC tonight. I'll have some time this evening to answer some of those questions. I have to jump off here in a few minutes and take my daughters to dance class. So when I get back this evening and sit down to write some games up, I'll be happy to peruse these on Twitter and get back to you guys. Again, thanks so much for jumping on here. I do really appreciate it. Finally, last question. Trade Beal for Jabari, Rob, Will, and Melton. 14-team dynasty. Oh, man. I'm assuming this is Jabari Smith. And for me, Jabari Smith, if you can trade Bradley Beal for Jabari Smith straight up in a dynasty league, I'm doing that. Right. So, yes. And then I think the additions of Rob Will, I think Rob Will, it makes it really good. And then Melton is not necessarily a kicker on that, but he's a nice cherry on top, I would say. So, yeah, I think I would certainly make that deal if I was you. And especially in a 14-team league, depth really, really does matter. So you're getting 3 for 1 right there. And I think you make out like a bandit. I would go ahead and do that in a second. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and drop off of here. Thank you, guys. I will be back next Tuesday for another one of these. Hope everybody's having a great day. I'm out here in West Virginia. I'm looking out the window here. We got some snow earlier today, which really thrilled me. So I'm loving life right now. I hope everybody's having a great week. Great. Best of luck in your matchups. Take care, guys. See ya.